Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the AM Report for HAPS News, the network of Now. I'm Alex Mahajer. It is Tuesday, March 9th. This morning, we're going to talk about the latest updates in the COVID-19 relief bill. The bill has gone back to the House to be passed again because of changes that were made in the Senate's version of the bill. We're going to talk about the latest updates on Trump and his sort of clashing with the RNC about his name and likeness. We're going to talk about Rep. Paul Gosar, the one Republican who is giving speeches at white nationalist events. We're going to talk about his latest tweet and cover some of today's top headlines. All of this and more this morning on the AM Report. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining the AM Report this morning. I'm Alex Mahajer. If you're watching on the HAPS app, website, or platform, click the award button. Let us know you're enjoying it. Or if you're watching on Reddit, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, leave a comment. I can read them live on air. We can bat around with each other. I want to know where you're watching from. I love seeing you chime in from around the country, around the world. So please let me know how you're feeling this Tuesday morning. A lot of people chiming in already. Good to see you, Pablo from Los Angeles. Good to see you, Renee, faithful viewer, Renee Barone from Johnstown. Good morning, Renee. Betty's asking, is that Ohio? And I really don't know either, so let me know in the comments. Pablo, thank you for the high five award. Thank you, Erasmo, for the high award. Good to see you from Tallahassee. We've got some Florida in the house from Orlando. Good to see you from Orlando. Am I the only one who can't hear anything? You might be. Can anyone else? Can everyone else hear you guys? I hope so. In any case, audio is good here, says Pablo. So thank you for the Renee for the Super Heart Award. Good to see you all this morning. I want to jump right into some of these headlines. First and foremost, COVID relief. The COVID relief bill has gone back to the U.S. House of Representatives for passage. So it's expected to pass tomorrow morning. President Biden has said he will sign the bill as soon as he gets it. The House Rules Committee must first set the parameters for debate on this bill. And then they've got to debate it. And the House must vote to approve the rules of debate before debating the bill today. The bill will include $1,400 direct payments, billions of dollars for vaccine distribution, and money to reopen schools. As we know, reopening schools was one of Biden's promises for his first 100 days. He's really intent on doing that. So as vaccine distribution ramps up, and I'll note, as the vaccine eligibility list opens up to include teachers in a lot of jurisdictions, including here in California, this push to reopen schools is going to continue to increase. And with this relief package passing through the House, we'll be inching closer towards Biden's goal of reopening schools. So that money for direct payments, that's going to be for people making $75,000 or less a year. The reason this has to go back to the House is because the Senate's version doesn't exactly match the House's bill that was passed last week because they made amendments to it and certain provisions were watered down by Republicans. So it's got to go back to the House because the two bills have to line up exactly. They've got to match one another before they can go to President Biden for his signature. But what we are hearing is that we will likely get a signature by President Biden tomorrow, that this is probably going to come about tomorrow. So keep your eyes on this space as we get COVID relief, hopefully this week, before the March 14th benefits. Benefits are currently set to expire March 14th from the previous bill. So Democrats are trying to get this done before then. March and April will be critical to stopping the COVID surge. According to CDC Director Rochelle Walensky, new infection numbers have plateaued at a very high level. So although we've seen a steep decrease in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations, infection rates have plateaued at an average of 60,000 new cases daily in the past week. So while we have seen a decrease, that doesn't mean we're out of the water, we're still seeing very high infection numbers in the United States. We just aren't, it isn't as high as it was a couple weeks ago. So all in all, we got to continue to stay safe. The CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, says the next 2 months could determine whether the U.S. will experience another surge in coronavirus cases. That's because multiple governors, especially in these states we heard very famously in Texas, Governor Greg Abbott has reopened businesses back to 100%, lifted mask mandates in that state. And other states are taking the same sort of steps. As these states reopen a little bit too early, and as these mask mandates are lifted, and spring breaks are set to happen this week and next week, start spring breaks for colleges begin. We're going to see a spike because of these new variants that are spreading across the country that the health experts are saying are now the predominant strains that are much more infectious, that are much more transmissible, and could potentially be more deadly. So until everyone is vaccinated, the next 2 months could lead to a huge surge. Here's what the CDC director, though, said yesterday in some optimistic news about COVID. I'm going to play this again because it's new direction from the CDC about people who are fully vaccinated and their ability to gather in groups with one another.
That fully vaccinated people do not need quarantine or get tested following a known exposure to someone with COVID-19 as long as they are asymptomatic. At this time, the CDC is not adjusting current guidance on travel. We believe these new recommendations are an important first step in our efforts to resume everyday activities in our communities. However, we remain in the midst of a serious pandemic, and still over 90% of our population is not fully vaccinated, though we are working hard to get there. Therefore, everyone, whether vaccinated or not, should continue to avoid medium and large-size gatherings, as well as non-essential travel, and when in public spaces, should continue to wear a well-fitted mask, physically distance, and follow other public health measures to protect themselves and others.
So that's our new guidance from the CDC about the ability for fully vaccinated people to gather in spaces. And also, if you're fully vaccinated, you can have, if you have direct contact with someone who has COVID-19, you don't need to quarantine, is what the CDC is saying. At the same time, states that are reopening businesses at 100% and lifting mask mandates are putting the country's forward progress on the decline of infection rates at risk. So it's up to us to continue to keep these numbers low and to save lives until every American is vaccinated. President Biden is saying that there's enough vaccine supply now to get every adult in the United States vaccinated by the end of May. So, I mean, that's, we're a month and a half longer to go. In other news, GOP Representative Paul Gosar from Arizona has ties to a white nationalist group that is continuing to be exposed. If you don't remember, this is the dude who objected to Biden's electoral college victory. Arizona Congressman Rep. Paul Gosar posted on Twitter the motto of a white nationalist group on Sunday, a little over a week after delivering the keynote address at the group's conference in Florida. And so this is altogether really sort of shocking because not a single Republican has spoken out against Paul Gosar's ties to white nationalism, which he's just basically openly showing you. He's got ties to this group. This is the tweet that he retweeted. I'm going to show you guys Paul Gosar's tweet. Let's see, Paul Gosar, there he is, right there in the upper right-hand corner, and the Gosar screenshot. Here we go. Let's see. This is the tweet. So, tell everyone America first is inevitable. America first is inevitable is the slogan of this America First white nationalist group. And I don't know why he thinks hookers and this image are funny and hilarious, but he retweeted it. And this is their slogan, tell everyone America First is inevitable. So this is also the same guy, like I said, who who objected to Biden's electoral college victory and has been perpetuating the big lie that Donald Trump won the election, and altogether are pretty reprehensible. Some of these Trumpists in Congress are a clear and present danger. Lauren Boebert is the freshman congresswoman from Colorado who yesterday released a video demanding that Nancy Pelosi tear down the gates outside of Congress, which were erected as a way of protecting against insurgent mobs of white nationalists, domestic terrorists that were instigated by Congressman Paul Gosar and his big lie, and Trump and his big lie, and this incitement to violence that's been happening. And in this video that Lauren Boebert posted, there's the sound effects of a gun locking and loading in the background while yelling at Nancy Pelosi, tear down this wall. Altogether, this language and rhetoric is deeply troubling and needs to be tamped down and will result in further violence if it's not kept in check. But altogether, the GOP, some problems in the GOP. Some conflict. And that conflict is laid bare by Donald Trump's latest actions himself. Donald Trump is trying to siphon money away from the Republican Party. So the former president is clashing with the Republican National Committee. He's trying to siphon donations away from the RNC and into his Political Action Committee Fund, which is Save America PAC. He sent a letter warning donors to avoid supporting rhinos, which is Republicans in name only, and is encouraging GOP voters to donate directly to his PAC and to do it at his website. He also sent a cease and desist letter to the GOP, to the RNC, demanding that they no longer use his name or likeness to campaign or fundraise, which is just nuts. So the fine print on the website that Donald Trump is asking people to donate to clarifies that the Save America Joint Fundraising Committee donates 90% of its funds to Save America PAC and 10% of it goes to MAGA PAC. So neither of those PACs, political action committees, are directly affiliated with the Republican Party. So according to OpenSecrets.com, Trump's Save America PAC has raised more than $31 million since the election. And Trump told reporters last month that he would support Republican challengers to any GOP members who voted to impeach him. So he's got on a war path. He's spoken out pretty strongly against Mitch McConnell. And he says, quote, where necessary and appropriate, I will back primary rivals who espouse making America great again in our policy of America first, defaulting back to a slogan from this white nationalist group, just coincidentally, I'm sure. So the RNC responded to the cease and desist letter on Monday, saying that former President Trump's attorneys are stepping on their free speech rights, and they say that they have the right to use Trump's name and likeness in their fundraising efforts. Quote from Justin Reimer, who is the RNC chief counsel, he says, quote, the GOP has every right to refer to public figures as it engages in core First Amendment protected political speech, and it will continue to do so in pursuit of these common goals. So Trump at war with the Republican establishment and siphoning money away from their fundraising efforts. Altogether, more nuttiness from Trump himself. And finally today, Biden has signed 2 executive orders to commemorate International Women's Day. These are on gender equality. So the executive orders are meant to further his policy objectives with regards to gender equality. The first establishes the White House Gender Policy Council to advance equal rights and opportunity for women and girls. The second directs the Department of Education to review how to implement the White House's policy of obtaining an education free of sexual violence. These were campaign promises, and now President Biden has signed them in as an executive order, directing federal agencies to further these policy objectives. And Jen Psaki announced this. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki announced this in a press conference yesterday to commemorate International Women's Day. And here's Jen Psaki, White House Press Secretary.
Today on International Women's Day, the President signed 2 executive orders. The first establishes the White House Gender Policy Council to ensure that the Biden administration advances gender equity and equal rights and opportunity for women and girls. The second directs the Department of Education to review all of its existing regulations, orders, guidance, and policies for consistency with the administration's policy to guarantee education free from sexual violence.
So there it is. And I'll note President Biden's cabinet is the most diverse in American history. Includes women, people of color, and Democrats just passed a bill in the House that furthers rights for Native Americans. We're seeing a lot of diversity out of this new administration, and I personally appreciate that a great deal. This has been the AM Report for HAPS News, the network of Now. We are live every weekday morning with all of your quick political news and headlines to get your day started right. If you like this journalism, if you like this content, please consider sponsoring it. You can do that at haps.tv/@Alex, where you can buy me a cup of coffee, become a recurring monthly sponsor, or just click subscribe and get a notification when we go live every morning. I'd like to thank Stephanie for the High Award and for all the comments this morning. Renee, what happened to these politicians? Betty kind of has the answer. Not your father's Republican Party. The Republican Party is a wholly owned subsidiary of special interest groups, of course. Someone says I look like the guy from, I look like Bobby Cannavale from Mr. Robot Season 4. Sad Candidate 69. Thank you? Question mark? I don't know if you're trying to read me or if you're trying to compliment me, but either way, appreciate that. And Renee is shocked that Paul Gosar posted that image of the prostitutes. Altogether, thank you for your comments this morning. We will see you all tomorrow. Appreciate all of you joining and chiming in, seeing your faces. Lovely to see you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.